Okay, so I shifted the board around just because the lighting's better from here. One thing that I missed during my rules introduction was the big disadvantage outside. Well, no, just the big disadvantage, the only one really, of having the aggressor marker. If you fight the 2 rounds of combat, 3 rounds of combat without hitting as the aggressor, well, the first round you get this missed marker, second round you get this second round missed, but the third round, the defender can choose that you have to retreat, and then you suffer all the detrimental effects of a retreat, including him getting an extra round of combat on you that you can't respond to at +1. So that's kind of a major factor of why being the aggressor is bad. Especially, it's not usually a big deal with big armies moving in, but a small army, like one, just a leader maybe, fighting another leader, if they have low chances of hitting, it's very easy to miss for a couple of rounds in a row and end up being forced out. Of course, it's not a major battle then, so, who cares? Okay, well, we've got a couple of leaders we have to distribute. And this is kind of an issue we have to take care of in the scenario specific. The unused leaders. Leaders with 2 different are colored differently. Yeah. Okay. Somewhere or another it tells you how you do this. Yes. Okay, so there's an initial die roll. The English player will win ties to determine, and I'll use red for the English, to determine who gets to choose the non-aligned leaders first. Right there we have Robert of Gloucester and David of Scotland. The English rolled higher. They're going to take Robert. It's a hard call, actually. Robert's clearly the better leader in some ways, in the sense that he's he's able to control 2 units. But David is in Scotland. He can just get Scotland for free by pretty much sitting there. It's his home area. At the beginning of the game, there aren't any markers for home areas, so people kind of have to play it out and see what happens. Hey, let's get started then. All right, well, if we look at the handy-dandy reference, we have to determine initiative and the impulse length. Make a quick roll, again, red for the English, and the French win the initiative. They get a total of 3 4 initiatives, and the English get 3. And I've got that marked down here. The French get 2 plus 2, the smaller die roll plus 2, and the English will get 1 less than that. All right. Well, now we start conducting those. And this is kind of a tough thing to do because I haven't really been thinking about the game too much in the first turn. These will be coming in at the end of the turn. So what are my goals here? What am I trying to do as the French? Well, clearly owning Ile-de-France seems of value, so I don't really want to leave there. Owning England is of value, but I don't really have the odds there. Here's the problem. What do I do with... This is the counter. It's Stephen. What do I do with him? He's officially King of England right now, although Matilda's also officially Queen, so who knows. If I can't leave, there's this fly... Wow, I forgot a few things. When you can't move out of an area if there are enemy leaders there. You can only move out of an area if you have more leaders than the enemy has, and you have to leave ones behind. So here's the thing. Do I want Scotland, or do I want to sort of abandon poor Stephen back there? Well, I think I'm just going to pass and let the English have the initiative that they kind of have here anyway. So now we go to the English phase, and they have an interesting set of options too. Normandy is not terribly valuable, but wiping out Stephen with a guarantee, he's got more bravery rating than Robert does. So I think moving over here and assuring myself England seems like a good move for the English. We go to the French again, and now here's the question. Do I want to bring David in? It seems like I'm risking 2 leaders. I'd rather have Scotland, so I'm going to sit there. And now we come to Geoffrey, who's pretty decent. Do I want to go try to take France? If I lose the battle, I don't get Anjou, but Anjou's not terribly valuable. So you know what? As the English, I'm marching in to the Ile-de-France as well. And now we're pretty much done. Unless I want to move David out of Scotland, there's not much that can happen. The English could move one of their people, but they want them both there for the battle. So the French are going to pass, the English are going to pass, the French are going to pass. We're set. Now, it's time to resolve the battles. Okay, well, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to mark these aggressor markers. And the English are the aggressors here, and they're also the aggressors here because they took Robert as their leader. Okay, so they've got that penalty in both cases. Let's take care of a battle. Well, let's take care of the Ile-de-France first. It's not controlled, so the French can't take it as a siege. So let's look. Geoffrey has 2 dice. Louis only has 1 die. But Louis's got +2 to his dice because his bravery is higher. Let's see what happens. Nothing happens. The attacker gets a missed marker. And we go again. Still nothing happens. Dice aren't good. Another missed marker. And now a 3rd round. And this isn't good. Louis has hit Geoffrey. Geoffrey was missed again. He must retreat now. Which means Louis gets to attack now at +3 for his last round. He hits again. Geoffrey is disgraced and has to withdraw somewhere. He's going to fall back to Anjou, I think. Let me look at who's coming in next turn, because this is kind of important to know. There's always the same number of leaders every turn. 4 leaders, 2 from each faction, and then 2 unaligned. And we've got a more important Angevine coming in. And some people who probably aren't going to interfere with that. You know, I'd rather not retreat here, to tell you the truth. I would rather retreat up into... Yeah, I'm going to retreat up into Normandy, because I'm not going to be able to convert anything right now anyhow. The aggressor marker can go away. And let's go fight this battle. Well, here, Stephen gets 1 die. Matilda's the leader here. She only gets 1 die as well. We can't... Robert doesn't count for dice. He's just bringing troops there. So, we each get 1 die, but Matilda has a +2 to her die roll. No hits, which means we've got the missed marker. No hits, missed again. And you can see how frustrating this can be. And the 3rd time no hits, Matilda has failed as well. Which means she and Robert are going to be disgraced and are going to be forced out of there. It doesn't make a lot of sense not to split them up. There's going to be forces coming in Normandy. I pull back to there. All right. That's it for the battles. Now where do we go? Now we go to determine control of areas. Well, Ile-de-France, the French king, well, Louis picks that up without a problem. Likewise, Stephen and David get their territories. So it looks like a complete blowout so far, right? Well, we'll see. There's a lot of game here and a lot of luck and a lot of chances for things to swing back and forth. All right. Deploy troops and raise mercenaries. Well, the non-initiative player, in this case that's the English player, gets to do so first. They don't have any troops on the board. We do put the mercenaries down though, even if only temporarily. Nevers. Alright. Some Irish mercenaries. And some Dutch ones. Notice Wales is not mercenaries. Wales' special archer troops are something you have to own Wales to produce. Well, the British can't create any troops. How about the French? The French can. And the French are going to create a French knight. Here's the question. Do they want gunners? Well, again, you look to what's coming in. And we were the non-initiative players, we're the initiative players, so we're going to get second choice out of these. Hard to tell which we're going to get. Might be Eleanor of Aquitaine. She can carry a lot of troops but isn't particularly good. Geoffrey of Anjou would be kind of cool, but I don't know if that's likely. But we're facing Henry and Thomas Becket. And here we're going to have Gerard of Burley, who's going to be down in Poitou. Raymond V in Languedoc. Hey, was he the Cather? I don't think so. Well, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, I don't see a likelihood that I'm going to be doing a lot of sieges. So what I'm going to do, I produced 3 units there. I'm going to produce a French knight and 2 regular infantry. And up here in England, I'm going to produce, well, it doesn't make sense for me to produce an English knight. I'm going to produce 2 units of infantry and a gunner. And it appears that gunners are allowed in this scenario. I wasn't certain that we had, the technology was not quite there at this point. But I guess it's representing other siege equipment, etc. Okay. So now we get to deploy troops and recruit mercenaries. Well, who can do this? Let's take a look at what we have here. We forgot Scotland. Produce 2 troops up in Scotland. Okay, who can do what here? Well, the English have the first option. They are not, and this was probably a mistake, they probably wanted to withdraw into, say, the Netherlands or maybe Wales so that they could recruit some mercenaries. They didn't do so, and now they can't grab them. They don't have a chain of controlled areas to grab the mercenaries from. Okay, well, bad move for their point. Now let's look at what the French can do. The French can't grab mercenaries from here. They don't have a chain going back to any of them. But up here they do. They have a chain going for the Irish mercenaries. So let's see what we've got. David has enough regulars to fill himself. He doesn't need to add to himself. And Stephen can hold a total of 6 units. He has 3, 4. I'm going to grab 2 mercenaries and drag them down to join Stephen's army. He doesn't get the regulars yet. In fact, he's got a worry here. He's the initiative player. And Thomas Becket is going to show up and be able to take those troops that I created. That's dangerous. Well, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm allowed to hold 6 units. I've got 1, 2, 3. I'm going to pull 2 more mercenaries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And another mercenary from the Netherlands. And I'm allowed to also deploy my troops. I'm going to pull all these up into Scotland. That's the only way that I'm going to get these troops, is if I send the English regulars up into Scotland and I grab mercenaries myself. That'll hurt Beckett. He'll only get his base value of troops. Okay. So now, we dispose of captured leaders. There weren't any. We determine leader death. Okay, well, there's a chance. Everybody could die on a 1. Let's start up there with David, up in Scotland. No. Stephen. No. And if Stephen died, all those troops would be there for Beckett to take over. Let's work our way here through these English leaders. And finally to Louis. And no one dies. And those are loud when I roll them on the table, aren't they? Okay. Now we place the new leaders. And the non-initiative player has the first choice on the unaligned leaders. And those choices are between Eleanor of Aquitaine and Geoffrey of Anjou. Eleanor is sitting in a valuable territory. I think I'm taking her. She gets 2 units because she has 2 stars of regulars. Shows up there. She'll be adding a valuable area to my holdings. That means the French get Geoffrey, and he also has 2 stars. Now the non-initiative player gets to place their regulars. And I think I want to place them in their homes. I'll put Henry II here. And I'll put Thomas Becket with only 1 unit in England. Another option would be to grab a bunch of mercenaries. You know, I'm sending Becket into the Netherlands where he can grab those Dutch mercenaries. He gets first shot at them, so that's probably not too terrible a plan. Okay, and now the French. Well, the French have Raymond. You know, putting someone in their home area is always kind of valuable. You at least get something off of it. And then we have Giraud down here in Poitou. And again, it's better to gain areas than most anything else that a leader can do. All right, well, so that we had no strange situations there. Now it's disposal of unused troops, of unassigned troops. This is first the English again. There aren't any here. Remove these disgraced markers. Is there anywhere else they can take any? Well, Becket can take those 3 mercenaries. And that's all that they can do. To the French, well, French king can grab these. And yeah, I'm being kind of anal retentive here. He's got room for 9 soldiers. The 6 doesn't hurt him at all. And David can grab some. David's got room for 2 more. He's going to ignore those gunners that were created. He doesn't think they're going to be useful to him. The 2 more troops allows him to have 3. And that's the disposition of the troops. For whatever it's worth, all these mercenaries come off the board. I don't always do that. Sometimes I'll forget. Doesn't make much difference. And now we adjust the score. And we look at the scoring for the turn. And quite simply, most of the stuff hasn't happened. But the French control England. That's worth 1. Let's give them a point for that. And again, I probably won't do this every time this way. Control of areas with values 3. Well, the French have 2 areas with value 3. That's worth 4 points total. Areas with value less than 3, they have 1 in Scotland. That's worth a point. Notice that none of these other areas are controlled, so they're not generating points at all. Now, there were no deaths, no kings were killed. Hey, we forgot to assign our kings. We got to do that at this point. This happened after the leader was placed, so Henry II is king and Louis VII is king. That just makes them more dangerous as point sources. Enemy leaders and captured, there aren't any. That's the end of the first turn. And we have a big gain. The French are sitting at 6 victory points here. You could say, well, I made some blunders with the English, obviously. Well, yeah, but there's also a decent amount of luck in the game. And it's not absolutely, you could make these same moves and come out ahead. I would have, of course, the later retreat was probably a bad move. Of course, Thomas got those mercenaries, so it's not that big a deal. All right, now we'll move forward into turn 2. I'll load this up, and I'll probably cover the other turns very, very briefly, because this, that's kind of the choice here. How much effort do you want to spend on these turns? Do you want to watch every move, or just get the overview? I think you've got the mechanics here. Now let's see what happens. So here we are playing Warriors of God. This is the second turn. I rolled for initiative. Got a tie. That means that the French are going to continue winning initiative. They're at 4 initiative points to 3. Now, this is where the game, it's this movement section of the game that's so difficult to make your decisions on. And I think it's what's kind of interesting about it, but there's a lot of die rolling and everything in it as well. But here's where France has to choose what they're doing. Now, they have some serious problems, one of which is the king is quite potent and can probably hold the territory in a siege. So I've got a couple areas I can gain. What would make sense to me is to move down with David into England itself, help defend that. And now I've got to start making decisions with some of the other players. And that's the thing. This game is all singular decisions, right? Here I've got Henry, and he's significantly better than Louis. I could move 3 units out of Normandy and into France. On the other hand, I'm certainly much, much better than Stephen. Of course, I can only move 1 unit into England itself. So I think making my move against France against Louis makes more sense. What can I do to guarantee that, though? I only have a few strength points here. I'd rather not. Geoffrey's very cool, but I don't kind of want to leave him behind. Alright, with the English, I'm going to move in, and that gives me the French again. Now here's the thing. There's no question that bringing this large mercenary army is not terribly powerful towards converting stuff towards much of anything. David has a fairly strong army, so I don't want to deny him. But I could only move 1 across into Normandy. I'm going to take the French action and slide into Wales. Try to gain that, maybe gain some Welsh archers. that puts it back on the English. We've kind of committed ourselves here. Beckett's not doing much. He's got mercenaries and not much else. Pull him down. He's not going to convert anything. But then on the French again, Eleanor would kill us with her 8. I must have the numbers wrong. Yeah. So I totally screwed up here. The bravery is the first number. The battle rating is the second. Which means I'm going to just restart, to tell you the truth. God damn. Should actually read the rules next time.